Yeah, I get a pass. I get to go have fun. It's what you guys all get to see, right? I'll be honest, there's a whole nother side to what's been going on with me in my life. There was an experience I had the other day where I was called to a certain area at a certain time of day, and I was to sit and connect with the people that were there. I know very well when Spirit is guiding me. Well, I try to know very well, but this was very clear, apparent to me that I was supposed to be here. Now, I started to kind of engage with this group. They were camping and they were friendly, and I felt safe. It was a opportunity to just like have some good times. And I started to have pretty good conversations. One of the guys, I know this doesn't matter at all, but he looked like the Asian guy from Gone in 60 Seconds. So I was like, oh my God, okay, I'm here. We were having, like I said, some good, in depth, cool conversations. These people were cool. Now, as time went on, I started to observe more of them and their physical appearance, noticing their tattoos. Now, one of the tattoos almost gripped me, like felt like I was just almost taken aback so far. And it's not even a gruesome one, I've seen some crazy ones, but just very clear with you that it struck me on the level of my soul that I've never felt before. And it was because it was a picture of, if you know who the goat is, it's Baphomet, right? And it was a picture of him hanging some strings with the image of Jesus Christ. But Jesus was dead on the cross, and the cross was being hung by the strings. Okay? And I had already engaged with this person. I felt good with this person. To make the long story short, ended up having a great time with all of those people. And I also realized that multiple other people had very clear satanic, like upside down cross type stuff. It was very clear I was with my perceived enemy. I was able to voice myself. You see, in the past, I would have kept my mouth shut. I would have gotten in the truck. I have become communicative, and I do heart-based energy work constantly to be able to filter up truthfully into my throat chakra. So I was able to just simply ask him about the tattoo. And the conversation that engaged in the group, I never felt more close to Jesus in my life. Like, what the like, because I called him in, of course, like freaking out, but he was sitting with all of us. And that's what made me understand, like, what my work is. It's not to ever shun anyone. Like, anyone. I talk a lot about Satanism, and I don't understand that path, why people walk it if it ultimately leads to suffering. He talked a lot about religion and his relationship to it, and all I could do was just respect. Like, there's nothing in his experience that makes mine less of mine. And I was so aware of that. They had no idea of where my own thoughts and ideas. They didn't know who I am or whatever. But in the very end, they asked, "What about you?" Have you ever had that moment where you're in a group and you're like being asked like a very deep question? A lot of strangers just like looking at you. What about you? And I said, well, I'm not religious. I don't claim to be. And yet, I have a deep relationship with the Spirit of Christ. Could you imagine their reaction after all this time talking to me? That was a profound moment. Why? Because it was this compassion, transparency, respect. The man with the tattoo, like I've been around miraculous things, like, but that I almost feel that was like I could see him on my right side. I watched him as soon as I said that. He looked at me. He looked at me as if I was Jesus. Like he was like a believer. Like what the how did that script just flip? How did enemies just dine and feast in paradise? Anyway, before I get emotional, and I'm hardly ever emotional, you guys, so I let this energy run through me. This is the power, like I feel it. And then later on top of that, this woman comes on the radio. Now, there's a lot of evangelist type radio stations where I live, and I don't mind it. Like I get some good energy and some good direction, and like my mind goes in a good place. So as soon as she comes on talking about some gospel, something out of the Bible, like I'm neutral and I'm open. She speaks about radical forgiveness and proceeds to talk about a story about a little girl that was in a concentration camp. She was literally enslaved, starved. She had, in her camp, there was soldiers, like she remembered their faces. And once she was freed, once she luckily was, survived that situation, she found herself on the outside in the real world. At a train station, she randomly runs into, guess who? One of the soldiers that helped starve and enslave her. He held the key to the jail. So I know this is so intense because I feel like I've gone, this is what I'm going through on so many levels. I lost my whole town, I feel like. I can't be around that frequency. I felt enslaved. My spirit was. And yet, God is asking me to do the impossible. This little girl was able to do that. You know what she did? The soldier made eye contact with her. They knew. What would you have done? Like, man, so many words or no words or walk away or... No. No, her spirit had an anointing. She could go to the next level. And she decided to walk up to that man and shake his hand. She forgave him. She wouldn't let it fester. She wouldn't let it kill her. And just listening to that radio show, I was like, okay, I'm being asked to do the impossible. And that's what we all are doing here. It is not easy. Us believers, what we're being asked to do is impossible. But we can do it